Hello everyone, welcome back to my channel. Looks like we are live. Thank you so much to all of you who are joining us today with, this is truly one of my most special guests and one of my favorite guests. And I have to tell you, this is my favorite Russian man that I actually know. I never met ANDREI in person, but I think there is ANDREI, and then right after is Lavrov, and then like exec with Lavrov is Putin. That's how it is.
You're making a blush, okay? So yeah.
Yeah. Let's be honest here. So three musketeers, everyone. ANDREI Martyanov is in the house. The links to ANDREI's blog is already down below the live stream, as well as the direct link to order his book, the latest one, America's Final War. So if you are interested, make sure to scroll down there and check it out. Welcome back, ANDREI, as always. Thank you so much for finding time
My
for
pleasure.
my audience.
My pleasure, Anya.
So much to cover, and I was all over the place today, but let's start with what I actually have recorded in my solo video. So the rats are leaving the sinking ship, right? We have a lot of resignations from the government of Zelensky. And who resigns? Of course, many of those people. We have the deputy prime minister, minister of justice, the minister of strategic industries, and we also had Kuleba, so the minister of foreign affairs. Is the end near? This is my first question here because of that.
Well, it's state of Ukraine. I mean, as a state, is dead, and has been dead for a while now. Now it's just the flight they run. So obviously, it's going to be spun and presented as some kind of the reshuffling of the government. We just want to, as this cocaine dude. I mean, he stated we need to breathe the new life into the. Yeah, sure. So, yeah, it's a run, it's a flight, and these are the most odious people. And who knows what is happening in Kiev? It's all covered by propaganda, but yeah, we see the signs, so to speak.
So here I will read a little bit because I will be quoting one of the Ukrainian soldiers. My audience, your audience, us here are very aware about the Ksk Operation, the disaster of that Ksk Operation from the Ukrainian side. But let me read this and then it will be a question from me. On August 5th, Syrsky arrived in the forest where we were stationed around midday in 4 cars. We gathered in a circle the crews that were going to cross the border to Russia. Syrsky said that day would go down in history. He said a lot of nice words, that we had done such a good job and that everything would work out because the roads would be already open. Syrsky noted that intelligence had reported there were no large concentrations of Russian troops in the area. He said we had to quickly break into the Kursk region to the nuclear power plant. Syrsky said the events had been prepared by NATO experts together with Ukrainian military specialists, meaning everything will go well. End of quote. Apologies, it was so long. However, it's important. So as we know, the Ksk Operation is an absolute disaster. You on your channel, ANDREI, you frequently put the latest numbers. How many tanks were lost? Over 9,000 Ukrainian soldiers who were forced into this without their knowing. They were informed 30 minutes before this operation, were forced into this. This is the failure, obvious. But my question here is, who is responsible for this failure, for this event to take place from the Russian side, and how much President Putin can really trust the Ministry of Defense in Russia?
There's no problem. The invasion and operations of this nature were equally probable for three oblasts, which is, of course, Kursk, Bryansk, and Belgorod. And the attempts of the diversionary recon groups and even some raids by the larger formations up to the battalion. As you remember, they tried this earlier this year with this Russian, whatever formation, nationalists, trying to get into Belgrade. Putin absolutely confident in Ministry of Defense, and the question is, it's not so much the failure of military in reality, as much as it was the fact that there is an issue about Kursk administration. There are a number, there's quite some sums of money which were supposed to go into the, the erection of the proper defense lines, so to speak. But of course, there are fields there. They obviously belong to somebody. Those fields provide obviously harvest, wheat, and other types of the agricultural cultures, if you wish. So it's just happened. But again, you know what? That's the point of the real serious military, that it can turn a tactical issue and small tactical failure into the operational, even strategic success. And we see it, so it's and you have to remember that they have been moving reserves prior to this for months, saying that, oh, we're afraid that Russians will attack from Belgrade, which they were bombarding. So it happens in reality, as I already stated. Apart from the Western media primarily, having no mathematical background, they don't understand the difference between 500 square miles and 100 square kilometers. So, but you cannot teach them because they are basically morons. So yeah, they got into the small, teeny-weeny salient, and obviously they failed in achieving any kind of the sensible objectives. And then they invented, as they usually do, before they surrender, is that, yeah, we intend to do this. No, they were not. And you're absolutely correct when Syrskyi stated that one of the objectives, actually critical objectives, was to get to the city of Kurchatov with the Kursk nuclear power plant. But what it exposed an utter amateurism on part of Pentagon, let alone this, clownish military of London, of Great Britain. The clowns, just Lilliputian, as Mr. McGregor says about them. So yeah, that's their planning, all right, which resulted, of course, in yet again operational strategic catastrophe for the armed forces of Ukraine and Kiev regime. That's what it is.
Andrei, thank you. So at this moment, I think there is over 63,000 cases in Ukraine for those people who refuse to fight. This is in the law, by the Ukrainian law. So they I don't know how they will bring them to justice, but those cases is around 63,000, maybe more at this moment. I understand that. I would say, how to say this? I will say this. I cannot speak that every Ukrainian soldier is a Nazi for me. I don't look at them like that. I look at many of those people who simply just want to live and have peace in their country, wherever they have families and homes and jobs. So I cannot say all of them are Azov battalion, all of them are Nazis. I actually have compassion for a lot of those soldiers. As I was watching those recordings, they were describing how they were fooled into this, how they were used without any dignity, and it's just heartbreaking. And my question here is to you, in your opinion, who is bigger war criminal, Zelensky or Netanyahu at this point?
Oh gosh, it's difficult to say. Both are. The scale of them, it's difficult to really put the measure of this. It's absolutely despicable. For both are despicable, So, and another matter that due to scale of operations in Ukraine, which are absolutely dwarf whatever IDF and Netanyahu tries to, which is genocide. But it's kind of I almost, have to say that it's two different sorts of excrement, and I'm not here into discussing which one is worse. Both are bad, so that's pretty much my opinion on this.
Thank you. It's different form of evil, because it's almost hard
Yeah,
to. There is a moment. Yeah.
Absolutely.
Why President Putin is in Vladivostok at this moment?
Oh, well, it's very simple. I mean, it's the Far Eastern Economic Forum. Russia has strategic, gigantic plans actually on the developing of the Far East regions. It is the part of the turning away from Europe, and which was now not overdue, but finally it's happening. So, and yeah, the infrastructure, and especially free economic zones, and he was again near Vladivostok, yet another huge shipyard is being erected there. There is a bunch of the different industries being erected there as we go. So Vladivostok and the area, Khabarovsk, Far East in general, they are becoming the anchor of Russia for essentially Southeast Asia. And this is absolutely critical. Russia has way more to gain in Asia than in Europe. In fact, Russia has nothing to gain in Europe to start with, So, yeah, everything, financial, so to speak, streams and pipelines and everything are being, extended there. So it's only natural way to do things.
Andrei, how important is Mongolia for the
very
Russian
important.
Federation?
Very important, historically and geographically and resources-wise. So it is also the area through which the transportation routes to China go. Mongolia is extremely rich in resources, and yeah, in general, it's a strategic country, and its neighbor for Russia, and so it's inevitably by the virtual geography is important. And so Russians and Mongolians fought for Mongolia at Khalkhin. That's why actually that was basically the occasion for Putin's visit to Mongolia. So yeah, it's extremely important. And Mongolians made a huge sacrifice for the Red Army and Soviet Union during World War II. And Russians remember this with huge gratitude, essentially. So very important.
Maybe since you mentioned this, maybe I change the direction for a moment. Since on September 1st, we had the 85th anniversary of the beginning of World War II. Soviet Union, Russians, and Polish were those two nations that lost the most people in that war. Poland, as a country, percentage-wise to the number of population, actually lost the most. I want to ask you two questions here. Do you think we have learned anything from that war? I know it's a very big question, but the second question here, Andrei, is about Yalta and about Stalin, and about, do you think why West sold Russia to the Soviet Union? Why they made that form of agreement? Because now I am thinking, I know that the history as we are taught about Stalin, there are many layers to it. I understand this. However, I question everything. I ask myself, was he very much into Russia, or he was from Georgia, right? Originally. Yeah. Where was his heart? This is my question. Where was his heart really? So why Poland was sold by the West, that was the agreement, to the Soviet Union? And do you think we have learned actually anything from that war, Andrei?
No, not Poland. Poland learned absolutely nothing. So Russia learned, but the point is, it wasn't sold. It was by the virtue of the Red Army liberating Poland. We have to keep in mind, and you have to be very open about it. And you know what? That very many Russians today say that first, Soviet Union, Red Army lost 640,000 killed liberating Poland. But from there is a very serious school of thought that if it could have been possible not to go to Poland at all, let them deal with them, on their own. But everybody understood that Soviet Union essentially, yeah, it was occupation, but it was occupation by the virtue of their going geographically and defeating Nazi Germany. There's no other way, unless you want to go out, circumvent Poland and go through Czechoslovakia and things like that. But Poland is the shortest way between Germany and Soviet Union, and Russia at that time, well, Soviet Union. So that was inevitable. And guess what? Western allies occupied Germany, for example. Germany is still an occupied country, if somebody doesn't know this, so. And so is large parts of Western Europe. They are de facto occupied countries. So, and there's nothing, it's war. It always was like that. And that their attitude towards the present Polish government is, in Russia, for example, just Russians don't know what to deal with this anymore, So, and this is the point which I constantly stress, and what many people may not like it, but as I already stated, that Iron Curtain is due. And never again the simple, drop of blood of Russian soldier has to be dropped in Europe. If Europe explodes tomorrow or they have genocide there, let them do it, So what can I say? Russians are not responsible for that. So precisely because Russians learned from the World War II.
Mm-hmm. So how much Stalin's heart was into the future of Russia, in your opinion?
Hugely. Do not forget, his famous speech, Victory Day speech, and, well, not Victory Day, but victory in the World War II, I believe it was in June, when he summarized it, that 1,000-year fight of the Slavic tribes of Russia for their freedom is over. We defeated the main enemy, essentially. And then he praised specifically Russian people, if not for the Russian people. And so he knew the game. He was a smart man. He, in fact, geopolitically, he was a genius, so, and you cannot overstate this issue. So yes, his heart was with historic Russia, which at that time was the reshuffled, so to speak, Russian Empire. And he just did whatever he could to preserve it.
Thank you. I want to ask you about the attack on Lviv. I think it was today. What really took place there? Because I put the video out today, and there was a report. I think missiles and some drones went into Lviv. There were some victims, and also some infrastructure was destroyed and some historical buildings. Apparently, the mayor of Lviv said a few words. What was the truth behind this attack? Someone left the comment that it was because there were stationed some NATO troops there or something like that. That was the reason, Andrei?
Oh, yeah, there's always a reason. Russians usually do not do, bombing of civilians, unlike NATO does. So there are, like, it was not only this, it was also in Zaporozhye recently, and just a few days ago, or yesterday even. So Poltava. So this whole school, Russia begins to hunt specifically for NATO advisors. It always was the case, but now it is specifically. Plus, everybody understands that while the United States declares that they will be providing JASSMs sometime in future, in reality, they're probably already there. And this is why F-16s have been provided for, this purpose. And JASSM is a dangerous weapon, of course. It's still subsonic. It's still, will be, most of it, if not all, shut down by Russian air defense, but you cannot ignore the threat. So, and the whole idea was to place those aircraft, F-16s, load JASSMs on them. And because they have the range of 900 kilometers, it's much easier, safer for them to launch from deeper in the Western Ukraine. So, well, Russians are not just sending message, they are destroying the infrastructure and everything, including those people who are supposed to service those, weapon systems and F-16s. So simple as that. And Mr. Lavrov today said, if we talk about red lines, Washington knows the red lines, so.
Andrei, so on that note, 2 days ago, I think Russian envoy to United States, Anatoly Antonov, said those words that if West tries to escalate the war, it would not be limited to European continent. Is it a straight message that there will be some nuclear weapon going towards United States?
It could not necessarily be nuclear, but it could be nuclear. It is about what the review of Russian nuclear doctrine. You have to understand, people in Washington are one-trick ponies. They still think in the echo chamber and delusion. They, for some reason, they want to repeat World War II because United States is in the rough economic shape. So they say, oh my gosh, let's repeat World War II as it was. We see out the whole thing behind ocean, come late to reap the benefits of the victory, and then save the Europe from those nasty Ruskies and communists and things like that, and of course get rich, like filthy rich out of that's what World War II was essentially for the United States. It was a very profitable and good war with a minimum effort because they lost on the all theaters of operation something around 400,000 killed. Polish victims, dwarf this number, not to speak about the Soviet Union and things like that. And so they want to repeat it. They think that, okay, let's provoke Europe in suicide. Russians begin to fight them, spend their resources. But Russians explain that, no, anything happens in Europe, you get it immediately, So for you to have, kind of no doubt about it. And there are different ways of going about it, you have to understand. So Antonov was speaking about it, but we will have to wait and see what will be the new addition or extension of the nuclear doctrine or a military doctrine of Russia. So, but it tells Washington that anything happens to us, Washington will be turned into the parking lot. Simple as that.
Amazing, because you literally went to my next question. New nuclear doctrine. So Kremlin spokesperson Dmitry Peskov has explained that Russia is revising its nuclear doctrine in response to the US escalation of the war in Ukraine and actions by the collective West. Russia recently announced plans to update its nuclear policy, specifying conditions for the use of nuclear weapons. However, details on the specific changes to the doctrine have not yet been disclosed. Andrei, so what do you think is going to change in this? What will be the mic drop to this?
No, very simple. Something happens stupid in Europe, Washington will be turned into the parking lot. Simple as that. That's going to be the review of this doctrine. This is how it works. Because you have, as I already stated, they are one-trick ponies. They think they can repeat World War II because it was World War II which saved, basically economically destroyed the United States. People have to take a look at the numbers from, with the 40% of the unemployment, it tells you something, doesn't it? So, and that's the same thing because everybody understands in Russia, anybody who is not completely moron, that we're looking at the systemic crisis of the political and economic system of the West, apart from it being essentially pushed aside. And they're desperate. And so to make sure that they do not commit stupid things and don't do stupid things, just good old Al Capone method, that with their kind words and the gun you can get much further than with the kind words at all. So there you go, that's the gun. So just simple as that. Those people in Washington do not understand reality, and I mean it. They're just so incompetent.
Andrei, before I was getting ready to connect with you today for this live stream, I was thinking about this dynamic. Russia and the collective West. I'm not even talking BRICS. I'm talking Russia specifically. And I have to tell you, what came to my mind? This is a perfect example of the dynamic between narcissist and empath. And I think until certain point, Russia was kind of like an empath is, still believing there is some good in there, still believing that maybe this time things will change, maybe this time the narcissist is telling the truth and the behavior will be improved, but it's not. And I think there is this moment, like you said many times in our conversations, like Russia had enough and they are done. Like this is actually the red line, like they are done. So this really represents this narcissist. However, then the thought came to me, sorry for the long elaboration, but this is psychological now, because I'm thinking with the narcissists, they always blame the other side. They never take responsibility for their actions. So in this moment, they can react like psychopaths, unpredictable, without even thinking about the consequences of those actions. Therefore, I really don't know, Andrei, how far they will go, because they operate, this is their modus operandi.
Well, yeah, there you have to understand that sociopathy is the predominant feature in the for people who go out on those degree meals in, Ivy League in the United States or in Great Britain. They still grasp at the very much confabulated history about themselves and their greatness. So, but here's the problem: even narcissist understands the cold hard barrel of the gun at its temple. So, and narcissists, although they prone to throwing tantrums, do not forget they are cowards. Majority of narcissists are cowards. And United States militarily, and we have to keep it, they are cowards. They cannot win the war against some ragtag militias. So are you talking about them fighting Russia? And so when they were exposed as a paper tiger, they are desperate. And, again, one of the things which, constantly going around and self-aggrandizing, so that is already the marker of the pure psychology, so, and they think that they can outthink and outsmart people, as Kursk demonstrated to you. They are amateurs compared to Russian general staff. Russian general staff can make mistakes, anybody does. But the question is now, you saw yourself what this mistake in Kursk turned out to be, and how they miscalculated on the grand scheme of things with this special military operations. Don't forget, they thought, Putin's regime is just teetering on the brink of collapse. Russian economy is smaller than that of Italy. And I mean, these people are stupid, downright stupid, because they don't have not only their academic prowess, so to speak, to understand this, but their psychological portrait of the Western politician today, albeit it applies equally to politicians elsewhere, but especially in the West, it is a shyster who will sell his family, children, wife, for power, and so those people have no principles. They have no morality, and the same goes for the Western media. And we can see results today. We look at the United States. I'm not talking about Europe. Europe is done. It's over. For Europe, it's over. And so they wanted it. They voted for it for decades. And now they're going to be reaping the, results of all that. So United States, United States has the chance to still rob the rest of Europe, which they are already doing. And then after that, that will be US turn. The system is broken.
Thank you. This was so good what you said, Andrei. Thank you. And you reminded me about cowards. Absolutely, 100%. Let's go to President Putin for a moment. An article I'm reading. I don't know how to show it to the audience. I'm not that savvy. One day I will learn. So he's cleaning up the house. Russian Major General Valery, if I mispronounce, apologies, Mumindzanov has just been arrested for corruption. He is accused of having received significant bribes, nearly 200,000 euros, in the context of government contracts for the production of military uniforms. My question is, do you think there is much more to clean in that house? And what would you say, Andrei? And I know you always say it like it is, kind of like Medvedev. What would you say to those who say that Putin is corrupted?
Oh, well, those people who think that Putin is corrupted, they're morons, essentially. But they don't know anything about Russia and about Putin, for starters. And uh, yeah, as per the guys, it's cleaning up. If you look attentively, primarily at the recent high-profile, imprisonment of the number of the generals, they are primarily connected to the rear services, the supply and, material technical support of the army. It is the very, very fertile soil, so to speak, for corruption. And if you are not honest, you're gonna get very rich for a very short time. And so, and the short time it ran out for those people, and it started with this guy who actually not a general, the Ivanov of Timur Ivanov, I believe, so who was caught also. He was a glamour, they call him general, but in reality he is not military person. He was wearing the what is called the state advisor uniform. It's different from a military uniform. Yeah, there's a lot to be gained, in terms of their, getting bribes and developing corruption in especially rear services of the Russian army. Can you imagine what a material valuables are going through there? There are billions upon billions of dollars. My gosh, obviously some people are tempted. And especially, as usually, those tempted are, from the rear services, supplies, so. And guess what? In this particular latest case, it's very simple. You get the civilian contractor. There's nothing wrong with the civilian contractor. They come in and say, you know what, we can provide this and that if you need it now. But here's, let's kind of butter it a little bit. And so they get the kickbacks, and there you go.
Yeah. So there is still more cleaning, right? In the
Oh
house.
there will be cleaning. It's continuous process. Actually, many people do not understand when they say, "Oh, Shoigu." No, there were many of those people which have been caught before on his watch. So it's not like it is something unique which started to happen recently. But it's just that people naturally concentrate against the backdrop of the special military operation, like pointing the finger. Oh, look at this, yet another one. Sure, they have been, if you look attentively at, especially since when Shoigu came to, helm of the defense ministry in 2012, 2013, the process started practically immediately. Of cleaning up that thing. And it also has a lot to do with the institutional reshuffling, so to speak, which normal system it develops as the time goes, and especially under conditions of the war, essentially. So yeah, it will continue.
So Andrei, do we have time for 3 quick questions? Because I really want to ask you. Okay, when I was in Russia for the very first time, that was my first time was like I stepped into Dr. Zhivago's movie. That was incredible. That was winter. And I went on a tour with a guide to the Kremlin. She was amazing. She showed me everything. She showed me the museums and the cathedrals and all of those places. And she said that President Putin doesn't really reside here. He doesn't really work from here, even though people are talking that this is his office and his, stationary office. He comes here for the celebration and for the events, but that's about it. And I never asked you this. I'm actually curious where Putin works. Where is his base?
Oh my gosh. It's the only people who can tell you this are Federal Security Service, FSO, So, but yeah, if you see the standard of Russian state, with this adorned with all those, beautiful, whatever the things, Russian flag with the, Russian double-headed eagle over the main palace of Kremlin, that means Putin is there. Where is he? It's totally another thing. But again, Kremlin is a very large complex. Much of it also is underground. Okay, so and nobody will be shown really where the real, so to speak, thing is.
Maybe not even in Moscow, right, Andrei?
Well, he certainly has several residences, and he certainly has several command posts, so to speak, and offices. So it's only natural for him to have their, all those redundancies. So it's absolutely normal. Any developed state will have that.
I actually came across a news a while ago that there is a very special train that Putin has, and he travels on this train. Well, you can actually look it up. It's on YouTube. It's like top class, everything inside.
Oh yeah, absolutely. He's a
Yeah,
president.
and he has this train and he moves in this train a lot. But I just wonder. I'm very curious about those things. Andrei, I have to ask you. I could not resist not to ask you. Especially for me personally. Not a long time ago, President Putin signed a decree that was inspired by this Italian girl who suggested to him during that conference in one of the universities in Moscow to help those foreigners who share the values, the traditional values that Russia stands for, to help them to make their move to Russia easier. Hello, everyone. So I want to ask you, because I am getting from people that I know from my side here, as much details as I can. However, I don't think it's official yet. How much do you know about this? Because I know many people are interested in moving to Russia. Did you hear any details about how to apply? Is it already in action, or the Ministry of Foreign Affairs is still working on it? Do you know anything about it?
Oh no, it's official, because the ordinance have been signed by Putin, 3 weeks ago or something like that. So it is official. The only difference is that foreign ministry has to develop the list, which is, of course, we know what will be the list of the countries which are then neoliberal, aggressive, and threat to traditional Christian and Western civilization values. So other than that, I think so you already can do that. I never thought about it because we are traveling, so to speak, with people in the sense that we are tourists in Russia. So we didn't think about it, or at least not yet. So, but yes, it's official, and yeah, Russia will, it's an ARK I've been writing about for 10 years. Russia will become an ARK. Well, guess what? I turned out to be correct. So, and everybody now calls Russians an ARK because any normal person from what used to be Western civilization will be welcomed with the open arms, granted that they follow the traditional values, obviously, which are very well defined. They are defined in the laws, in Russian legislature, in constitution, and in Russia family law. Common family law, which is essentially law. It's, you have to follow it, So, and those people will be welcomed, especially children, because you have to save what's left of the Western civilization, which is done. It's over for the Western civilization, and the best people, you don't have to be necessarily, or some academician, although that comes too with the territory, but it's obviously normal people who want to live, normal lives, just give birth to children, properly bring them up, and so there you go. It's almost a prophecy. Sometimes I have to pinch myself. My God, Russia is the third Rome, and there will be no the fourth one. And this is essentially what is happening. Putin, if sadly YouTube removed that, if you listen to his communication with the youth at Valdai 2017, I believe, this video has been removed, but he sits at the table with all kinds of youth, including people for which are actually of the clock. There is an Orthodox priest, young priest, and he was talking about them, that Western civilization, look what is happening. Who's gonna? And he says, I'm not saying that it's good or bad, but somebody has to, preserve what was truly great about it. And Russia is trying to preserve what was great about Western civilization. And there you go. And that is why I am, for years, many years, that I'm standing constantly. Russia is Western civilization today, what many people do not understand. the combined West has nothing to do with the Western civilization anymore. It's a totalitarian nightmare, and it's going to get much worse. And I don't think so it's going to get better, because after it will be all done and over, what will emerge will be something else entirely, so. And
Andrei, thank you. I'm, I have to tell you, for me personally, when I heard this, it was just a confirmation of what I'm feeling myself, because it is a process, and, I hope I can be part of that.
Oh, yeah, pretty much. I'm sure there will be no problems with that. So, and
because Poland is an unfriendly country. Can you believe this?
Poland is an unfriendly country. Yeah, and it's what is worse, actually. Poland was always unfriendly country. Russians love Poles and generally, but the point is that it's the fact that Poland also going to be thrown under the bus. Already has been under the bus of liberalism, and what is happening, the tradition will be completely destroyed, and no Catholic faith was going to help, because liberalism itself, what they do. So, and it's going to be destroyed. It's already been destroyed, and that's why normal people try to flock to Russia. And it's open. Zakharova confirmed this. Russian ambassadors confirmed this. They are overwhelmed with the applications from Westerners. And we're talking about people from United Kingdom, Italy, French. Some French are going, so it's, yeah. So you have to now figure out how to place those people. So, and suddenly you have the Far East, and just incredibly explosively developing infrastructure. And if you look attentively at how the even highways, this is going to be the longest highway in the world, from St. Petersburg, Moscow, Kazan, Yekaterinburg, Novosibirsk, and this is like, oh my gosh, it's very long. So, and
you know what, Andrei? One day when you said it, I know I will be recording a video from this highway. I swear to God.
So it's just, you look at this. Russians built actually the what is called Baikal-Amur railroad, which Transsib, essentially the other development. Then suddenly they built their second one, which is in parallel. It's all done to develop Far East, and Shoigu was actually talking about building 5 new cities in Siberia. And of course, many people look at Siberia as some kind of horrible place. Well, it's obviously climate-wise, it's very hot in summer and could be very cold in winter. But if you look attentively at the major cities of Siberia, Krasnoyarsk, Omsk, Novosibirsk, so all the Irkutsk, these are large cities. Novosibirsk is huge. Many people do not comprehend how developed those cities are. You just need to tie them together closer, and then you suddenly have this explosive development, which is already happening. So, and that's in plans. That's why Putin was in Vladivostok yesterday, and so a lot is going to happen in October in Kazan on the BRICS meeting, where probably some political, not just economic decisions will be made, and that's going to be huge.
Thank you. I want to share with you one thing before the last question that I asked you. When I was last time in Moscow, I went with a friend of mine because I wanted to see how the houses outside of Moscow looks like. If I want to have my little dacha there, about an hour and a half drive, still in this oblast, right? And what my friend told me, he said, and I look at the roads and I said, those are really nice new roads. It's like perfect condition. He said a lot of those roads in that area have been built since the special military operation has started.
Yeah.
So they are investing so much. I mean, this more than anyone else, really. This. But for me, it was seeing this firsthand, how they are putting the money in it and how they are, investing in those small towns that ultimately this will be it is beautiful, but it will be even more, polished, I would say, this way.
I know. I traveled a lot around Russia. Some, obviously, Russia, as any country in the world, has hell holes, which is natural. It's drab and especially dying villages. But again, nothing you can do about it. Once it dies out, and just that. But when you look attentively at Russian suburbia is exploding. Russia is building suburbs like there is no tomorrow. If you go out today and look at the suburbia of around, I'm not talking about Krasnodar, for example, which, but yeah, even suburbia in the same Novosibirsk or Khabarovsk, you will see yourself pretty much a replication of the American suburbia, which is that's what I posted the video a few days ago about people just getting on the highway. Oh yeah, the guy traveled from St. Petersburg to Sochi in Dodge Charger, and he was driving like 110 miles per hour. You can see this video, and they like, are we in Russia or in the United States? It's same thing, just highways, exits, gas stations and things like that. And it's like, dude, it's like, we're not even sure where we are. But yeah, that's what it is. Became very American. And there was a lot of good, which could be, especially, again, it has to be understood. Russia and America are just gigantic countries, So it's natural that a lot of things, and America came up with this wonderful idea of obviously a highway system and highly developed road system. And now you can see it in Russia, and it's like, I'm somewhere in the middle of Voronezh and near Voronezh, and it looks like America. Yeah, it's highway one way, those exits, those truck stops and things like that. It's just like, interesting, So there you go.
But the airports look so much better. Can I just say? Say the airports?
Yeah, the airports are stunning, including
stunning, clean.
Even
clean.
in the province, you go to the modern airports in Yekaterinburg, later Rostov, which of course is not operational right now much because of the special military operations, but Rostov, you go there and you see those. Sochi, my God, ultra modern, just highly developed, and so so there is a lot of video evidence now, and that's what actually accelerates this process of decomposition of the narrative, Western narrative, about how great they are. You can take a look at some streets in America or even in Europe, and Paris stinks, and nobody wants to go there, normal people, So it's some people, I know my friends, they had the chance to go to Europe. Instead, they went to Dubai. They said, screw that, we don't want to be there anymore. So to do what?
Yeah. They feel more safe. I will tell you, Andrei, I want to move to Russia, this. And
yeah,
at one side, I feel a little bit, I wouldn't say afraid, because I feel I'm a courageous person, but I think one of the things for me is that I know there's a lot of things that my brain has to absorb and has transformed to the language, the laws, the bureaucracy, all of this. But I know, day by day, step by step, you're doing those things and you solve them. That's why I think that the decree is something that is really like a sign, not just for me, but for many people. And I agree with you 100% that Russia is saving humanity, the best version of humanity, the culture, the art, the beauty, the soul, the spirit. It doesn't mean there are people who are, people are people. So there are good people.
Yeah, Russia has many problems.
Yeah,
nobody denies there are problems in Russia, and they, in other matter, that's the difference. They are being addressed. That's the thing. They might not be worked out too fast, but they are being addressed slowly but surely. Some of them are addressed really fast, like the Middle Asia immigration. Suddenly you have this situation of the real serious state control of immigration, and throwing out all those, people who do not belong in Russia back to their newly independent countries. So, but yeah, it's being addressed. It's nothing like this under straight immigration or anything. So you can see yourself how the state works on that. And again, that's the difference, while in United States, which is also really, kind of ingratiating thing, that, oh yeah, that's a libertarian streak, we have the free from anything. But in Russia, Russians for 1,000 years, they were building their state, okay? Because in order to survive as a country, you need to build state, and so that's the difference, cultural difference. And Russians love to cuss on their own government, which they do all the time, which is natural. Everybody does. But yeah, if you look attentively, you have to improve your government. You have to improve your state control system where it's necessary. The rest of it, just leave it alone. Just go build businesses, build whatever you want, and just adhere to the cultural norms of the society, which are, for all intents purposes, Russia is the most conservative in a good way, in intellectual Western conservatism type country. So there you go. But it also attracts a lot of people of different confessions.
Yes, Andrei, last question. Do you think they're gonna sink Zelensky before the next presidential election in the United States?
It's difficult to say. They already started this hysteria again of Russian interference in American elections today. Biden already stayed. So yeah, we know, we've been there, done that. So everybody understands that. The question, of course, for Trump, the main talking point today is, of course, Ukraine. He's not going to do anything. He's not going to change anything. Trump is a blowhard, hot air balloon himself, but he has this point which he drives to campaign of Harris, not Biden, obviously, the DNC, Democratic National Committee, which is essentially Obama administration. Obama wants to stay in power constantly. So, and it is now up to Russia to decide how they're going to screw up for Democrats their foreign policy agenda by handing them a strategic defeat of Ukraine. So it's in Moscow. Russia holds all cards and decides what to do. But I think Putin was very much sincere when he stated, we prefer Harris. We know what to expect, So, but yeah, it's. I
but
think
Zelensky,
so.
will they remove him? Will they remove
know.
him before? What do you think?
I don't know. They will probably try to hold on to him, but again, who knows? I mean, I don't know. I don't follow the logic of people in Washington, because their logic is completely detached from the reality, okay? The economic, military, and things like that. And so,
like that article you mentioned in your latest video that Ukraine is losing, that's why it's winning, or something like that.
It's is Ukraine losing because it's winning? It's this imbecile Röpke, Julian Röpke. The guy is a clown. Well, it's a Springer Press. Not that again, Western Europe doesn't have non-tabloid mainstream media. All of them are tabloids. They are tabloids and they are propaganda outlets. And so those independent media and real true intellectual media, they are far in between. And yeah, that's why you cannot do anything about Europeans. Unless, of course, they go hungry. But then again, you can always blame this on Russians, that they created that, so.
Yes,
it's 1984.
Everything is Russia's fault, including the disgusting grand opening of the Olympics.
Yeah, absolutely. Remember dinosaurs 65 million years ago died? That's what Russia, so Russia is responsible for everything, so. And
it's getting to the point, Andrei, when it's really like, if people don't see it by now, I don't think anything can help them. I mean, it's really
absolutely. Absolutely.
Dissolve in the nothingness. Andrei, thank you so much for joining me. Thank you. I don't want to take more of your time because it's almost 1 hour. And I want to say to everyone who is watching, scroll down, because if you see what Andrei is writing in his blog and his videos, sometimes it gets really, when you see those people who are sacrificed, it's really hard. Like it gets on me, you know, I feel those things. It's very heartbreaking. But what I really appreciate about ANDREI, besides this aspect that he's so knowledgeable and he's truly an expert, that he always puts this twist on it with a sense of humor. So it really helps sometimes to loosen up the nervous system, because otherwise I will just explode from all of this. So thank you, ANDREI, for all your work and for joining me today. Thank you, guys, and make sure to hit the like, and we see you next time. Bye, everyone.